So break up the Mets, right? 5 in a row, 9 of 11. Only a game and a half out of the wild card ever since I killed them here about 2 weeks ago. They've been red hot. Some people say it's Grimace. Some people say it's the pride flag thing that they did. I like to think it was me and my rant. But whoever it is, whatever it is, the Mets are playing some good ball. Listen, they survived yesterday's game. Okay, the bullpen is still a problem. That was a straight survival mode type of 8th inning that they got involved in yesterday, and they held on for dear life, and they just barely held on. They were up 7-2 heading into that 8th inning, and then the walk started, and they walked in a run, and then there was a bases clearing extra base hit up the gap, and all of a sudden Tatis Jr.'s up with the tying run on second base, and he strikes out. But the batter before Tatis Jr. hit a rocket to center field, which Bader misplayed. And let's be real, you all thought, including myself, we all thought that was going over Bader's head. As soon as you see him start to panic out there in center field when he realizes, uh-oh. Because you could see it. You could see it in the body language, uh-oh. And he leaps up and he makes the catch. And the Mets survive as they pile on in the bottom of the inning. But that would have been as bad a loss as they've had all season. And you see the difference when a team is playing well from when a team is not playing well. Because if they're not playing well, that goes over Bader's head to the fence. It's a triple, and the Mets don't score any runs in the bottom of the inning, and they lose. Things are going well. Bader makes the catch. They don't test Marte's arm because, again, if this happened 2 weeks ago, they would test Marte's arm and he would throw the ball, up the third baseline or up the first baseline, and the game would be tied and they'd lose. But when things are going your way, you catch a couple breaks. Bader leaps up, climbs the ladder, and makes the catch. And I saw him freeze out there in center field. And I was like, oh, no, this is going over his head. And he went up and got it. So good play by Bader. Good recovery. But still, this bullpen's an issue. You can't get over the fact that they gave up 5 runs or 4 runs. This game was, the Mets had control of this game from the bottom of the first inning. They fell behind in the first inning. And then, boom, right in the bottom of the first inning, you got Lindor hit a home run and then a 3-run jack by Alonso, who seems to be, swinging the bat a little bit better lately. And it's 4-1, and away we went from there, and the Mets just extended the lead over the course of the next 6 innings. And then you get to the 8th, and it gets real hairy. You got the tying run in scoring position. You got the pitcher that can't throw strikes. You got when he does throw strikes, they're raking it all over the ballpark. And the Mets finally caught a couple breaks. And then in the bottom of the inning, got a couple big hits, including a home run. And they ran away with it 11-6. So they've now won 5 in a row. They swept the Padres, who again are just disappointing this year. Now they go on a 6-game road trip, 3 in Texas against the World Series champions, who are not having a great year. They have pretty much the identical record as the Mets. They're 33-38. The Mets are 33-37. They're not having a particularly great year. They've struggled. Tonight, the lineup is not out for the Mets. I just looked. The lineup not out for the Mets yet. I'll check it again in a minute. Peterson pitching tonight. He's pitched well since he's come back. His ERA is not great, but it's only 2 starts. He's 2-0. He's going against John Gray tonight. And then you got a good pitching matchup tomorrow, Severino and Lorenzen. And then game 3 is going to be Sean Manaea and Andrew, what is that? Howney. So we'll see. We'll see if the Mets can build on this. They're playing good baseball. And the people are saying it's the Grimace Mets. They're 5-0 since Grimace threw out the first pitch. Listen, call it whatever you want. They're winning ball games now. Now, I don't get too wrapped up either in the game and a half out of the wild card. We're in this thing. I'm not saying you're not in it. But you still have 7 or 8 teams in front of you that you have to leapfrog. And it's still June. There's no need to be looking at the race every day and how many games out of the wild card you are. Just go win games. Like I said, get to 500. You're now making a push for 500. You're 4 back. You're 4 below 500. You have a good road trip here. You could come back to Citi Field and play in front of a crowd as a 500 team. Get to 500 and then you go and see where you are. Stop worrying about who's in front of them, how many games out of the wild card. Listen, if you win games, you're going to keep it close. That's the design of this extra wild card, is to keep as many teams as possible in the race. And right now, the Mets are a product of that system because, they're 4 games under 500. That's not a playoff team. That shouldn't be a playoff team anywhere. But they're right there. They're there, so they're a product of the system, which is okay. That's the system you play under. Alonso's starting to hit. Lindor's playing better, hitting better. He's still having a little issues in the field. He booted another one yesterday. You got Beatty down playing second base up in Syracuse. So that'll be interesting as the Mets still haven't figured out their second base situation. McNeil got a hit in the 8th inning yesterday, but besides that, he got a double in the 8th. Besides that, he hasn't hit really in a couple of days either. So McNeil continues to struggle. He got 2 hits the other, I believe, a week ago. So, I mean, he continues to struggle. But you're playing better. The Mets have the lowest ERA in baseball. And it's it's the end of June. And it's the middle of June. So they're doing something right. But the bullpen is a disaster, and the bullpen will crush this team if they don't figure it out. And it's not the kind of thing because you can't rebuild a bullpen in the middle of the season. You can't do it. So they're going to have to, they have what they got. You got what you got. You got to deal with it. You might be able to insert 1 or 2 arms in there, but you need to figure it out with the guys that are there and the guys that are down in the farm and somehow put together a unit that is respectable, that can get some outs, because you're not going to win that game every time when you're giving up 4 or 5 runs in the 8th inning. And I told you how, when you have a bad bullpen, it's devastating losses. Crushing. How crushing and a devastating loss would that have been on a getaway day at Citi Field? You blow a 7-2 lead in the 8th inning and you lose the game and you don't get the sweep. And now you got to go to Texas. It's a long flight to Texas, to Arlington. It would have been even longer if they blew that lead and didn't win that game yesterday. But again, that's all for naught because they did. They got the out they needed. A couple things broke their way. They broke it open in the bottom of the inning, and they have a 5-game win streak. And they're playing better. The Mets, they were never as bad as they were 2-3 weeks ago. They're not as good as this either. They're somewhere in between. They're probably a 500 team, a couple games above, a couple games below. But that's good enough sometimes to get you into the playoffs. If you could, finish up a couple games above 500, you're going to be right in it. Right now, you want to get to 500, get over 500, and don't be in that situation where you're 5-7 games under 500 in the last 2 weeks of July, because then they're going to sell everybody. You keep playing well and you keep yourself in it, they might not be inclined to blow the thing up. I know Stearns probably wants to, because this is nowhere near a championship team, but they might give us a summer now, right? You might actually have some interest in watching the Mets games for at least another month. Because every time they have a streak like this, a 9 of 11, they buy you 3 more weeks of the season. That's what this does. So now we're going to see if the Mets have their lineup out yet for tonight. Listen, go in. If they can win 4 games, 4 of 6, Cubs aren't great. Texas is having a rough year. So, go in there, win 2 out of 3, and then come back home. And you got the Yankees coming in with a 2-game. The Mets usually split. The Yankees aren't exactly tearing it up. They didn't tear it up this last weekend, right? They lost yesterday. They had a bases loaded, nobody out, a golden opportunity to get themselves back in the game last night on Sunday Night Baseball, and they couldn't do it. They lost 2 of 3 to the Red Sox. It doesn't look like the lineups are out yet, which is surprising. It's 4:30. So Mets continue to win 5 in a row, 9 of 11. The Grimace Mets, whatever you want to call it. Listen, they started winning after I did my rant. So maybe it's me, maybe it's Grimace, maybe it's both of us. But either way, the Mets are winning games. They're game and a half out of the wild card. Forget about the division. The Braves are getting killed with injuries. The Dodgers got a big injury. So a lot going on in the world of baseball. On Father's Day yesterday, Mets 6-game road trip starts tonight. Yankees, Baltimore starts tomorrow. And listen, the Red Sox aren't the rival right now. Of course, they're always a rival, but the Red Sox are not the rival right now. The rival right now is the Orioles, who are just as good, if not better, than the Yankees. Cortez, then Garrett Cole, and Gil are your 3 pitchers Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday against Suarez, Povich, and Irvin. Cole Irvin is 6-3. And Suarez going to tomorrow night against Cortez. He's pitched. I mean, he is a sub-2 ERA. He's been dominant. Of course, Cortez has been better. That's going to be a good series. The Yankees, they should have big crowds there. They probably fill the building all 3 days. The Orioles are now your main rival. And they're going to be right there with you, and it's going to be a tight race to the end. Yankees coming off losing 2 out of 3 in Boston, which you never like to do if you're a Yankee fan, of course. But the Red Sox are 12 games back. They're having a so-so year. They're worried about the wild card. That's what the Red Sox are. It's the Yankees and the Orioles that are worried about the division. So all that going on. Again, hope everybody had a wonderful Father's Day. Mine was fantastic. Spent it with family. Don't forget to leave us a review on YouTube. You can go to our website, lockedupsports.net, leave us a review. Or you could always, of course, go on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review there, Spotify, anywhere. And just tell us how we did. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. And we'll talk to you later in the week, everybody. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studio. See ya.